All right, the 2021 Lingus College Football Classic is coming to Dublin. It's just been announced that it's going to be the University of Illinois up against the Nebraska Cornhuskers, the brilliantly named Cornhuskers. It's the second, of course, of that 5-game series, and it's going to be on Saturday, the 28th of August 2021. I'm delighted to say to look ahead to the game. We're joined on the line by the Director of Athletics at the University of Illinois, Josh Whitman. Josh, in a sporting sense, looking ahead to this game, was it a tough decision for the university to give up home advantage and uproot and travel the 6,000 kilometres to Dublin?
Well, it certainly isn't something that we do easily. It's we take our home games seriously, as most schools do. But ultimately, the opportunity to take our student athletes to Dublin, to give them the opportunity to experience the Irish culture and travel abroad was really compelling for me, and I know exciting for our coaches. We think and then back here at home, it's a great opportunity for us to get a jump start on the college season. We'll play in what we call week 0 here, which is the week before most schools start to play, which will give us a national television audience, a big platform, and chance to show all those here who are paying attention to college football that the University of Illinois has got a great program and a program on the rise. I
think I'm right to say the first discussions kicked off about 2 years ago.
It did, yeah. I was approached by the organizers of the game, I believe, in November of 2017. And so we've been talking back and forth since then, looking at different dates, trying to determine different opponents. And ultimately, this game in 2021 against Nebraska made the most sense for us, and we were able to find a willing partner in Nebraska, and we were in a good position then to move the conversations forward fairly quickly.
What are the main types of challenges that you face with bringing a game like this so far across the ocean?
I think it's a lot of different things. Certainly, as you said, it's making sure that from a scheduling perspective, you're moving the right opponent. In my mind, we were looking for somebody that would be a high-profile opponent, but also somebody who our fans wouldn't necessarily miss because we see them frequently. So in our world here, we divide our Big Ten conference into the West Division, the East Division. We play the West Division opponents every other year at home. The East Division opponents may only come to our home stadium every 8 or 9 years. And so, if we were going to talk about a University of Michigan or a Penn State University, those are in the East Division. They only come to town here every 8 or 9 years. And so I wasn't going to take one of those games away. But Nebraska, a great tradition, great program. But they come here to Champaign every other year. And so I was a little more willing to think about moving them across. Also, it needed to fall at the right point in our schedule. We needed to feel comfortable with the games that were on either side of it, because of course this is a little bit more of a travel piece than what we would have to play in our region here. And then financially, it needed to make sense for us. We needed to be sure that we weren't sacrificing the revenues that come with a home football game. And thankfully, to the organizers of the game, to Aer Lingus, and a lot of the other partners, including some different government entities that you have over there in Ireland, they were able to put together an attractive package for us that made it pretty straightforward. And once we recognized that all those boxes could be checked, like I said, for me, it was just about giving our student athletes that opportunity to experience your incredible culture over there.
I was over at the Notre Dame Navy game a couple of weeks ago in Chicago, and we were in conversation at that point with John Anthony of Anthony Travel, who's involved obviously with Irish American events and who are responsible ultimately for bringing these games across the water. And we were having a conversation about the importance of the head coach in these conversations. And I just wondered, from your point of view, about the head coach from a football perspective at the University of Illinois, and how much of a sales job you had to do on him to get this game to come over here.
Not a lot, to be honest. I have a lot of respect for Lovie Smith, our head football coach. He certainly always talks about putting the man before the football player, and I think he saw this for what it is. He saw it as a great chance to provide a once-in-a-lifetime experience to the members of our team. I think he sees it as a tremendous recruiting pitch, and to be able to talk to prospective student athletes, people who might enroll here next year or the year after, about the opportunity to travel overseas. And it's a feather in the cap for the program. You look at some of the other teams that have played over there. Certainly, you mentioned Notre Dame, but Navy, Boston College, Penn State, Georgia Tech, University of Central Florida. Those are some very recognizable brands in college football here in the United States, and for us to be amongst that group and to be asked to participate in this early season event with the national stage it provides is a great opportunity for Illinois football, and he recognized that, and I appreciated that from him.
Josh, can I ask you, when we were over at that game in Notre Dame, I sat in a presentation by your Notre Dame counterpart, Jack Swarbrick, who's the AD there, and he spoke quite eloquently about the challenge that faces college sports in the US now in relation to image rights and that entire area. And I know Corey Brooker has weighed in on that particular topic over the last few days as well. In terms of solutions, where do you think this pretty thorny issue is headed?
Well, I wish I came with a ready solution. I think a lot of us have done a good job of identifying some of the challenges, recognizing some of the complexities to the issue. But as yet, we've yet to identify the perfect solution, which I think is why it's taken so long for us to act. It's one of those things where I think politicians, I think members in the media sometimes see it just in theory, but when you try and distill it down to reality, it gets complicated in a hurry. But I think it's an incredibly important issue, and one that certainly I think is going to have a lot to do with what college athletics here in the States looks like for the next several decades. And so it's important that we get it right. I think it's a solution that needs to originate from the NCAA, probably not from the state governments, although they're starting to put their stamp on it as well. And so, we're going to have to navigate through some difficult waters here and try and get out to the other side with a good solution.
And just looking at your recent results, Josh, they particularly, obviously a very recent game in the last few weeks indeed, against the Cornhuskers 3 weeks ago, and it was a really tight game that just slipped away from you, I think, towards the end of it, but we'd take an equally close game here in Dublin in 2021. Well,
we would too. I tell you, we're a program on the rise. We're really excited about the build that we've been undertaking, and that was a tight game against Nebraska. That was one of those games you get in the car afterward and you think, boy, that might have just taken a couple of years off my life. We were up a couple scores at different points during the game, and weren't able to pull it out in the end, which was disappointing. Certainly not for me, but for the guys on the team and for the coaches. They worked so hard to try and put themselves in a position to be successful, and they're continuing that hard work, and we're looking forward to having a great game against Nebraska when we're over there in 2 years. All
right, Josh Whitman is the athletics director at the University of Illinois. Thanks a million for taking our call today. No doubt we'll catch up over the next few months in the lead into this game. And a reminder as well that it is the Universities of Illinois and Nebraska coming to Dublin in August 2021. It's going to be an epic game. It's the second in that 5-game series, and the hospitality package for both the 2020 game and the 21 games are on sale now through the official corporate hospitality game partner, corporate.ie.